How's it going, everybody? It's Prod here, and today I'm bringing you guys a new Dark Souls 3 video. For this one, we're going to be talking about some new footage from a live stream that happened, I think, 1 or 2 days ago. I honestly had no idea this was going on. I was waiting for like the weekly From Software live stream. I'm like, man, they didn't do it this week. I guess they're going to skip it until Dark Souls 3 comes out in Japan. And then all of a sudden, I see this, and it's like a 30-minute footage on Twitch, and this is really interesting. They have people talking in the side, so I'm just going to focus on the gameplay here. We get some Lucerne gameplay, which we have seen a little bit before. I'm not entirely sure if a lot of people that actually went and played this thing early a few weeks back on March 1st actually used much of the Lucerne, but we get a decent amount of gameplay here. We also get some footage from other weapons as well, but I mainly want to talk about some of the stuff that they talked about in the video. If you want to watch the entire video yourself, feel free to do that. It's in the description from the exact link that I saw it. It's about 30 minutes long, so I thought I would break it down to some of the most important things that they talked about, because it's not like they had many new things. It was a lot of things that we already know, and I see it more as they're trying to get you know, people from the US and stuff, trying to get them hyped for this game, because it does come out in Japan basically a month before everywhere else. And I feel like they've been doing a lot of stuff for that Japanese release, but they haven't really been doing much for everywhere else. So I'm guessing throughout the next few weeks we're going to start seeing more for the US release and stuff. So right off the bat, in the beginning, you saw them looking over to the undead settlement and all the different areas that you can see. And it's one of those cool things, because one of the things that they really try to emphasize in this live stream, and I feel like they really have been trying to do that for the past couple of months, is that if you can see it, you can go to it, you can explore the area. And at first I'm like, man, that sounds really goddamn cool, especially from interviews, and you would see it on text and you're like, man, if you could see it, you could go to it, that's awesome. But when you look at it, there's not that many areas, and there's, I think I counted about 4 different areas you can go to. They don't look tiny, but they don't look like really big either. And it's one of those things where they have said and they have confirmed that this game is smaller than Dark Souls 2, but it's more complex, meaning that things are going to be more connected to each other, more interconnected, which I feel like people almost prefer over actual size of like this big map, you know. Things that actually connect to each other, you'll be far away, or at least you feel like you're far away. Then you open the door and you'll realize, oh wait, I'm back here, you know, I'm right where I started. This is crazy, you know. Everything's really connected, which is one of those things they really try to emphasize in this game. And they did mention that it doesn't really start getting super interconnected that way until about I would say about an hour and a half into the game, past the high wall of Lothric, which they described kind of like a tutorial area to kind of get your bearings and stuff. So that's going to basically be the area that you've played already. If you played in the network playtest, that's kind of going to be like the tutorial area. There's going to be a couple enemies there and stuff, a few weapons you'll be able to pick up, I'm sure. So it's nice that we get, you know, confirmation that things are going to be really connected to each other, similar to Dark Souls 1, because that was one of my favorite aspects of Dark Souls 1. And it's really funny because throughout this live stream they tried to not make comparisons to games like Bloodborne and Demon Souls, because obviously those are basically properties that are owned by Sony. You know, Sony published those games, and when they would get asked, you know, did you guys take inspirations from this game, from like Bloodborne, they would just seriously like try to avoid it. You know, we took inspirations from like Dark Souls 1 mainly, you know. And I feel like that was like the main game they noticed. I feel like they didn't really mention Dark Souls 2 like at all either, and it was like mainly like Dark Souls 1, Dark Souls 1, Dark Souls 1, which is cool. It's everybody's favorite Dark Souls games, or at least most people's favorite Dark Souls game. But, you know, it kind of sucks that they didn't really mention Dark Souls 2. A lot of people don't like Dark Souls 2 for some reason. I love Dark Souls 2. I think they did a lot of great things on that game. But whatever, you know, I just thought it was kind of funny. So let's go ahead and jump into some of the mechanics of the game that they talked about. There's a couple things, like I said, it's not entirely new. I'm guessing for people like myself, for some of you guys who have read up a lot about Dark Souls 3 and learned a lot about the mechanics and stuff like that, this might not come as news or new things. But it definitely will for some of the new people. So when it comes to the AI, they did talk a little bit about the AI, the enemies in the game, that they are really smart, which is one thing that I have seen a lot about this game that I'm really goddamn impressed about, especially those Red Knights in the high wall of Lothric, especially in the network playtest, man. Those things were brutal. I saw some people struggling with those things because they're really smart. When you, obviously one of the best things to do when you have this guy holding up the shield is to try to back around them and just get a backstab, and they would just just try to push you away with their shield. They would hit behind them knowing that you're going for that backstab, which is really impressive that they make these enemies clever like that. So I'm happy that we're going to see more clever AI in this game, definitely more challenging enemies that will probably be able to adapt to what you're actually trying to hit them with or which way you're trying to kill them, which is really cool in my opinion. I cannot wait to fight some of these guys. But let's go ahead and talk a little bit about luck, because luck is one of those new stats that they put into this game. Obviously I know that it wasn't Demon Souls. For most people, it's going to be a new stat. For myself, it's a new stat. For those people who didn't play Demon Souls, it's new because it's on Dark Souls now. And he was asked a little bit about specifics about luck, basically what it does, if it's going to affect anything at all, or what it actually does when you actually rank it up and put points into that. What it does, obviously, it increases your item discovery, and it also makes it so that I think it makes it so you build up poison and bleed faster. So you're able to actually use that more efficiently and build it up quicker when fighting enemies using a poison weapon or a bleed weapon. But the most interesting part was when he actually did confirm that luck was going to be a stat that affected weapons and spells later on in the game. He said that later on in the game you might run into weapons and spells that actually are affected more by luck. So maybe we'll have weapons that will be able to actually be similar to the Demon Souls. I think it was called the Blue Blood Sword, where it was a weapon that was affected a lot by luck. I'm not entirely sure what it did to luck because, like I said, I never had the chance to play Demon Souls. You guys can tell me yourself if you have, but it was a weapon that was primarily a luck weapon. So luck builds might be a thing coming to this game if there actually are a decent amount of weapons that actually are affected by it, which is pretty cool, because going into Dark Souls 3 I kind of saw luck as like one of those stats where it's like it's cool if you have it up a little bit, maybe to like 15 or something like that, but then getting higher than that is just like a waste of points. I would rather put some of that into strength or dexterity or vitality. You know, it's one of those things that I most likely wouldn't have touched, but maybe I'll actually look into once the game comes out. Let's talk a little bit about New Game Plus, because they didn't mention much. The guy asked them if there was going to be anything different when it comes to New Game Plus, but it's one of those things where they didn't really want to mention or spoil anything for anybody. They didn't talk any specifics when it comes to the story, and it's one of those things that's kind of obvious, but people like were really for some reason getting mad. They were like, why is he avoiding every single question, huh? Why is he just skipping all these questions where they ask him about the story? Like, guys, I mean, come on, he's obviously not going to go ahead and spoil everything when it comes to the story. He has to keep secrets. Obviously this is a PR guy that's talking for Bandai. You know, they tell him what to say and what to say specifically about specific things. He can't go out just blurt whatever he wants, or else he would probably get fired, you know, and nobody would hire him again. So they obviously didn't mention much about New Game Plus, how high actual New Game Plus the difficulty stat raises to, because I'm pretty sure previously it was New Game Plus 7, and that's where like the max difficulty comes out at. So not really much out of that. They talked a little bit about weapon arts, basically talking about how later on in the game, because most weapons like categories of weapon fall into a specific weapon arts. For example, the axes are going to fall into some type of war cry weapon arts, and he did say that later on in the game you're going to find weapons that have their own unique weapon arts that don't fall into the specific categories of like war cry or like stance or something like that. You know, it's going to be completely unique to that weapon, which I'm really happy about. It's one of those things that I was really like worried that we might see the exact same weapon art, or at least groups of weapon arts for every single weapon in the game. So I'm happy that later on in the game we're gonna get some unique stuff. So that is about it, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like I said, there wasn't much talk about new things, at least new things that I didn't already know, because I've been keeping up a lot on Dark Souls 3, making videos and stuff, basically a few times a week and stuff. I'm really excited about the release of Dark Souls 3 here in a month. Hopefully I get to play it a bit sooner. It comes out in Japan in 6 days, and I'm just crying because I don't get to play it. You know, I fucking hate that I don't get to play it then. But anyways, if you guys have anything you want to ask, or like I said, if you want to watch the video yourself, the link is in the description. You guys can watch it yourself. But like I said, I mainly covered a lot of stuff that they talked about, but you can watch it yourself to see everything. But anyways, I'll talk to you guys later. Peace, everybody.
With the nod to previous games,